Well, it is a beautiful and lovely Wednesday morning today, March 20th, 2024. Good morning, Nigeria, and welcome to Daybreak, live on Trust TV. We're pleased to have you join us on yet another edition of The Breakfast Show. My name is Abdullahi Ahmed.
I'm not sure which one I accept, beautiful and lovely.
You're alive, aren't
yes.
you?
Yes, I am.
I think the fact that we are alive makes it beautiful.
Whatever.
Because life is a beautiful thing.
I agree.
Despite the twists and turns.
Whatever the Abuja Electricity Distribution Company is doing to make some of
this
this
happening?
preface. I've not had light in 5 days.
Wow, okay.
I'm not sure what the problems are. So they kind of blink it for 10 seconds and that's it. And maybe that registers as having supplied electricity to my side of the state.
That's not good.
Beautiful day it is. Whether it is lovely is a different thing. I'm Sunday Michael Ogu, but it promises to be an interesting package.
What's happening with the weather? I know that you can only complain about the weather, you can't control it, but the dust is back again.
Back, and this morning we wake up with a fog.
Yeah.
Whatever that signifies, I'm not even sure what the weather pattern is.
It's quite erratic. It's been quite erratic because this time of the year you expect clear skies as the rains, begin to fall. But yeah, it's quite erratic. I was stunned when I came outside and I was like, what exactly is going on?
I had the same feelings myself, but whatever it is, as we say in local parlance, God I beg you.
Right, exactly.
This heat is... It's beyond comprehension. It's making it extremely difficult, for people to get decent rest before they jump out the next day in search of daily bread.
Before we get down to the brass tacks of today's show, can we just take a moment to talk about the Senate President once again? I don't know, if that is his modus operandi or whatever, but again, he's in the firing lines for all the wrong reasons regarding the developments from Delta State in Okwama, where our gallant soldiers were, in a very heinous crime, not only gunned down, but also mutilated in a very horrific or barbaric manner. And you had the National Assembly chiming in, condemning the act, as well as calling for a probe and more recruitment of police officers so that our military can be disengaged to do what they're supposed to do, protect the territorial integrity of Nigeria. However, one particular comment stood out, and it pretty much just diluted the entire conversation around what actually happened.
Which was what
because we've been here before. We've had several times when communities. I mean, recently I think it was either in was it in Benue State or in Kogi or perhaps, Nasarawa State or so, where we had incidents between communal clashes, and then the soldiers stepped in, and then we had some few casualties. This is not unusual, but the Senate President used the word mercenaries. We're not even sure if they're Nigerians, because it looked orchestrated, it looked organized, and I was saying, why would you say that if it's unconfirmed? Because none of the authorities have said anything about mercenaries, not the Nigerian military, not the Nigerian police, not the DSS, not the presidency. So where is he getting his information from?
Every time I listen to the Senate President with utmost due respect, I get the sense that he thinks that he's talking to people who don't have the capacity to process information. Because he just drops those information blatant as they look in absolute bad taste. It feels like sometimes he forgets that he's now sits atop a national polity and not just a state polity where you can say anything.
He's number 3, isn't it?
And get away with it. Of course he is. And that is even if you then take things into proper perspective, basically he's number 2, if you like. If you take
in terms of the power dynamics,
where, things just basically fall on him almost immediately. You come over and over again making this kind of statements that deflates...
That cannot be verified.
That cannot be verified and deflates the conversation completely. I thought a Senate President would have been at the forefront of making sure that these kind of heinous crimes do not repeat themselves and ensuring that proper investigations are carried out. We understand your affinity with the South. Everyone is a Nigerian, basically, but when things like this happen and they are not checked, it's basically a license for other people to do the same. and get away with it.
By the way, this age-old, I think it's well over 2 decades, the clashes between Okwama community and Okwaloba, it's nothing new.
That's right.
They've been at it for quite some time. So the history is there of these violent clashes. And, to just, muddy the waters in that matter, in that particular manner, it's just unacceptable and doesn't speak highly of the number 3 citizen in the country. But obviously we're still getting so many feedback. The governor was meeting with the president yesterday, was talking about how normalcy is almost being restored. The House of Assembly, the House of Representatives is asking the military to consider pardoning the community because the fear of reprisal is there, and understandably so.
One or two opinions, but I think the idea is not to mistake pardoning with completely ignoring what has happened.
Yeah.
This is a heinous crime, should be treated exactly.
I don't think the word pardon should have been used in this.
My only worry is that from our experience, the military does not have a culture of investigation, especially when something concerns it. We've seen that experience in Udi, we've seen it in Zakibiam. So what we should be conversing for is that it's that the proper military authorities or the police, if you like, and the DSS should be the one at the forefront of investigating what has happened and fishing out the perpetrators. Of course, they will continue to intervene in ensuring peace between those communities, but probably we will need a mediator, to investigate and bring these people to book.
Hopefully the police will do a good job investigating this particular matter, as well as other relevant agencies that will be co-opted into this investigation. Let's bring you the headlines this morning. Tamper justice with mercy as Delta Assembly begs Nigerian military over Okwama killings.
ITF collaborates to equip 5 million Nigerian artisans.
And House of Representatives proposes 5-month bereavement period for widows. What about widowers?
Well,
there's maternity leave.
I'm sure somewhere along the line they will consider.
Okay.
All right, moving to the details of the story. The Delta State House of Assembly sent a passionate appeal to the Nigerian military to temper justice with mercy over the killings of 16 soldiers at Okwama community in Ueli South local government area of the state. The appeal followed a motion at Tuesday's plenary under matters of urgent public importance raised by a member representing Ueli South State Constituency, Honorable Festus Atwama. Honorable Atwama, in a motion on Tuesday plenary presided by the Speaker, Honorable Emomotimi Gowo, sought the condemnation of the House on the unprovoked killings of 16 military officers and men of the Nigerian Army and 1 civilian whom he said were on a peace mission at the community. While commiserating with the immediate family of the slain soldiers and the Nigerian Army, the lawmaker called on Delta State Governor Honorable Sharif Obori Wori as a matter of urgency to prevail on relevant security agencies to investigate and prosecute those who carried out the dastardly act. Also, the lawmakers enjoined the governor to constitute a commission of inquiry to investigate and unravel the immediate and remote causes of the crisis between the Okwama community in Ueli South and Okoloba community in Bomadi local government area of the state. The motion was unanimously adopted by the House, and a minute silence was observed in honor of the slain soldiers.
Now, imagine this. Nigerian military men go into a community and gun down 16 innocent Nigerians.
All hell would have been let loose.
Nobody's going to talk about pardon.
That's right.
We're going to talk about justice for those lives. So let's talk about justice for these people who have families, who have friends, who have relatives, who deserve
first
justice.
Of all, Nigerians before
exactly. So I can understand, the calls for no extrajudicial activities, but the perpetrators should not be spared, because we have to set an example. We have to draw a line that something like this cannot be tolerated in whatever guise or shape or form. So quite a very disturbing scenario.
Yes, very disturbing.
In other news, the federal government, in collaboration with the Industrial Training Fund, the ITF, has come up with an initiative tagged Skills Up Artisans to upskill, license, and empower 5 million Nigerian artisans in a year. The Director General, Industrial Training Fund, Afis Ogun Oluwatoyin, disclosed this on Tuesday at a workshop titled Design and Development of Curriculum for the Upskill Artisans Super held in Jos, the Plateau State capital. He pointed out that the initiative will be carried out by collecting data on Nigerian artisans through massive training, certification and licensing for better job opportunities for both local and international artisans. Oluwatoyin enumerated that one of the purposes of the program was to ensure the Nigerian artisans access essential tools, equipment and funds to expand their trades and equally enhance employment opportunities for artisans in local and international markets. The Director General says the initiative will also provide economic empowerment for artisans by equipping them with employable skills that will enhance their earning potential and contribute to poverty reduction in the country. Also, to improve the overall quality of service provided by indigenous artisans, thereby reducing dependence on foreign artisans. One of those, well thought out blueprint strategies that ends up getting a mediocre implementation, but hopefully this would be something different that we will talk about going forward. But really, skills would definitely help reduce the poverty situation in the country as well as our unemployment crisis.
Yeah, way to go. We just hope that, like you said, they don't end up becoming political. The beneficiaries don't end up becoming political stooge.
Yeah.
And this does not become another platform to reward those persons where you get the stipends attached to the training.
Yeah, but the training goes to waste. Yeah.
Goes to waste. Moving on to other stories, a bill seeking 1 and 5 months leave to men and women who lost their spouse respectively scaled second reading on the floor of the House of Representatives on Tuesday. The bill, sponsored by member representing Bidda Kacha Bako local government area of Niger State, Honorable Saidu Abdullahi, will grant the widows and widowers a period to mourn their spouse and recover from the psychological trauma. Leading the debate on the general principles of the bill, at Tuesday's plenary, Honorable Abdullahi lamented the plight of spouses in Nigeria who have lost their partners, adding that the difficulty of single parenting was both deep and complex. He stated that the bill is targeted at addressing the pressing issues of supporting individuals who lost their spouses and helping them to navigate the challenging period of widowhood. The bill is divided into 5 clauses. The first clause stipulates the period of leave that is formally granted to a widow or widower with full payments and entitlement. The second clause defines the persons who are eligible for the leave, and the third clause states the punishment for the violation of the proposed law. The lawmaker said the widowhood legislation had been enacted in many countries around the world. Sound interesting. What I'm not sure about is this implementable in the private sector?
and also the duration. I think 5 months is quite a lot of time. By the way, Mr. Manson deliberately removed widowers from the whole equation, made us believe that it was just widows that were being considered. But anyway, to your point exactly, the downtime is just way too much, isn't it? To have someone on your books but not work for 5 months, you can understand the situation that they're in. However, at what cost, right? So I think the time period for me is a bit much. Maybe since it's still a legislation that is being considered, they might consider reducing the time a little bit. I think employers would be good with 2 to 3 months, perhaps.
I think
depending on how critical the situation is.
Getting back to work is another way of healing.
Exactly.
Because becoming redundant and idle, perpetually keeps your mind in the state of
you ruminate over and over about the current situation.
When you get at them, and we must not forget the innate attributes of every human being, to overcome this kind
of grief
and move on again. We have that capacity to regenerate. But that does not deflate the arguments that indeed we need this kind of compassionate leave. Abed, to support whatever we have.
Exactly. Anyway, we're going to take a quick break now. Daybreak Interactive will be coming up in just a moment, and we look forward to hearing your thoughts on today's talking point. More on that after the break. Welcome back to the program. We're watching Daybreak, and it's time for us to get interactive. And we're going to talk about an all too familiar issue that most Nigerians have an opinion about, and that is with regards to Nigeria's endemic corruption that continues to look like the bane of our growth and development. And under the current administration of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, corruption once again is on the forefront. As Nigerians continue to weigh in on some of the events that has happened already, you can talk about the ongoing prosecution of the immediate past CBN governor in connection with several malpractices, irregularities, as well as corruption charges that are still pending in court. But also, the EFCC's efforts so far has caught the attention and the imagination of the Nigerian public, especially last week, where the governor, or the former governor of Kogi State, was in the news following those amended charges by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission. And then the Kogi State government coming to the defense of former Governor DAYBREAK, saying that no funds were missing. But then there is the Better Edu Gate. There's the Halima Sadia situation, the former Minister of Humanitarian Affairs. So we just want to sample your thoughts, your views on what you make of the current fight against corruption under the current administration, especially as the House of Representatives was sounding the alarm about why it's taking forever to conclude the investigations of the currently suspended Minister of Humanitarian Affairs, Dr. Better Edu, alongside others who have been indicted in those allegations as well as investigations. So give us a call. Feel free to share your thoughts, your views, your comments, as well as your suggestions. If you have rhetorical questions that we cannot obviously answer, feel free to share them with us on the program. The number is showing on your TV screen. Just a quick reminder, rules of engagement: please turn down the volume of your TV set while calling in so that we can avoid the interference, allowing us to talk to a lot more people on this particular segment. At this point, we're sounding like a broken record talking about fight against corruption, because we're clearly not winning. I think the presidency last week was talking about how the corrupt element in the society are the ones fighting back, making life harder for the administration because they're not happy about subsidy removal, because they're not happy about some of the reforms and so on and so forth. But listen, the Buhari days took the appetite out of me, and somehow I believe that we can't win. Okay, we have someone on the line, so let's get to our first caller. Hello, good morning. Welcome to the program. Your name, please, and where you're calling from. Hello, good morning. Okay, let's move to the next caller, please. I think we've stated it very clearly. Turn down the volume of your TV set while calling in, so we can avoid the delay as well as the interference, and let's just go straight to the conversation. Turn down the volume of your TV set. I don't want to say switch off your TV set because that's your prerogative, but please turn it down, because the interference doesn't make for a smooth conversation. Yeah, I was just talking about how this whole thing sounds, like we're whipping a dead horse or something.
Absolutely, you have said it all. It gets to a point where it begins to sound like what we see are just optics to give us the impression that something has been done. But deep down, we don't see results. I understand we have another caller. Good morning. Your name and where you're calling from.
Hello.
Hello, good morning.
Come on.
Can you come again, please?
Hello.
Hello, good morning. Can you hear us? Okay. I think that most people don't understand how this works. If you're waiting to hear your voice across the TV set, there's going to be a lag. There's going to be a delay, and that will not make for a smooth interaction. There are so many viewers who are just going to watch us, who would love to hear the conversation, and you not turning down the volume of your TV set does not allow that to happen. So let's try and stick to the rules and have a proper conversation. I believe your opinions, your thoughts are very important because you want to share them with us. So feel free to articulate your thoughts. But of course, please turn down the volume of your TV set while calling in. Once you get through, state your name, where you're calling from, that's your location, and go straight to the point with your remarks. You were saying something earlier about
basically about the optics, but others would disagree with you, of course. There are those who are quick to reference the fact that this president has shown some zeal and commitment in this fight against corruption. By, I mean, it's been a while since we saw, yes, the president moved swiftly to suspend a serving minister, a senior minister at that, if you like. Not
I mean, one would say Buhari, not Buhari himself, but the acting president then suspended the secretary to the government of the federation. But at the end of the day, would we say that the Buhari administration won the fight against corruption? I don't think they won the battle.
That's right. Yeah. We have also seen what he has done with the implementation of some of the recommendations of the special investigator to the Central Bank. We have seen heads roll at that level. We have another caller on the line. Good morning, and where are you calling from? Hello, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Thank you. Your name and where you're calling from, please.
Good morning.
Your name and where you're calling.
If you can hear me, can we kindly get your thoughts?
Okay. I feel like are we not speaking English?
We are.
It's
maybe,
very clear.
A part of it has got
just
to do
put the
with
phone to your ear and just talk. Yeah, just talk to us.
Couple of days.
Yeah, just talk to us directly. There's no need to hear the feedback from your TV. Once you can hear us on your headset, I think that's okay, or your phone directly. Let's have a proper conversation, because I believe Nigerians have a lot to say, especially about the fight against corruption.
So we've continued to see one or two glimpses. That sort of. We have another caller. Good morning. Your name and where you're calling from?
Yes, the fight against corruption in Nigeria.
Can we please have your name and where you're calling from?
Okay, my name is Usman Mohammed, and I'm calling from Bauchi.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Usman.
Yeah, I'm calling from Bauchi State.
Go ahead.
Well, my contribution is, sincerely speaking, Nigeria's case entirely is more like a fictional drama. Right from onset of the democratic dispensation to date, nothing appears to be serious. Both the leadership, in fact, the followership is also corrupt presently due to the prevalence of the corrupt practices and the negligence of governmental leaders in various political positions. The negligence has made people to develop this ideology, this notion of corruption is the best way out. People are beginning to thrive on corruption. Nothing good will come out of this fight against corruption. Nothing. At the end of this government, after this government has finished its own tenure, we will still be back here talking about corruption. Because we can see what is happening with Nindi. A very serious allegation was raised. But all the Senate could do was to suspend the person that raised the allegation. 3-something trillion naira is at stake. He may be wrong, he may be right. It's a serious disaster. 3-something trillion naira is enough to build a lot of healthcare centers in Nigeria, to train a lot of youth. Sincerely speaking, the Nigerian system entirely is like it is being run by thugs. People that have not passed through a classroom entirely in their life, people who have nothing to do with responsibility and maturity.
All right. Usman?
National consciousness in this country is so poor. Patriotism is dying on a daily basis.
Yeah. I mean,
on a daily basis, we have nothing to see. In fact, I'm beginning to believe that the military era is much better, because we went to school during the military era and uniforms were being distributed in schools. Books are given in schools. We used to post letters in front of our houses.
Right.
We make calls to phone booths in our communities. But presently, security, health, education, everything is not functioning. Nothing. The ministries are just there, just corrupt.
Yeah. Usman,
annoying
yeah.
In fact, I'm sorry for my tone.
No, I can understand.
The way things are going.
Yeah,
the way things are going is so difficult for us to understand what is happening.
Right. We appreciate you sharing your thoughts with us. But
we send people there to represent us, but what we are seeing is a different thing entirely.
Yeah. Understandably so.
Common man fend for himself. By all means, everything you do, you have to be extra hard working for you to survive in Nigeria.
Okay, Usman, thank you most kindly. We're trying to make room for others to join in, but you made some salient points about national consciousness, about the normalization of this idea of corruption, so much so that even society is accepting of it. The ends justifies the means. So it's not just the leadership that is also corrupt, but there are elements within the followership, and it's spreading like a virus. And I can't help but agree with him on some of those notes.
Yeah, completely, because when you think about corruption, then you are thinking about a situation that has a willing giver, and a collector on the other hand, and none is more guilty than the other, because that kind of environment exists. It sort of festers.
It engenders it.
It engenders it. And empowers those who have benefited from this process to continue to entrench the practice. And so the odds are completely stacked against you if you want to do the right thing. In this country.
There's an exception. There's an acceptance of certain corrupt practices. You get a feeling that society is beginning to normalize it.
That's right.
And I like that he's saying that patriotism is dying. Silas is calling in. Silas, good morning. Thank you so much for calling on the program. Where is your location, Silas? Silas from Kaduna, good morning.
Thank you. Good morning to you too.
Go ahead, Silas.
Nice topic of discussion, fight against corruption. Some things I wanted to just mention is that Mr. President is doing very well. No doubt about that. But for someone to be in the seat of leadership is really not a small thing, so much responsibility. Good job, kudos to him. But there are some things I was just thinking about. To fight corruption, you need to know that there is corruption, which I believe they understand that. Secondly is that you need to know who is corrupt. Who is corrupt. And the truth is, you can't fight it one-sided. If you want to deal with it, you deal with it. It's like a mosquito in the house. You can't kill 2 mosquitoes while there are 10 mosquitoes in the house and you say you want to kill one. So you want to kill mosquitoes, you have to kill all the mosquitoes so that you can have a good sleep. So corruption, to fight corruption is not a one-sided thing. You have to be open to deal with it all round and all angle without fear or favor. Next, most people in leadership feels as if you can just sit in a particular place and be controlling things happening. The truth is, you really want to work, you have to come down to the grassroots. Hello?
Okay. Yeah, we can hear you, Silas. Go ahead.
Good. You really want to work, you have to come down to the grassroots. I'm not saying you have to come down and be moving around in the community, but you have to be directly linked to the people on the grassroots to really get feedback from them. One of the problems we have is chain of communication, the breakdown in communication. You sit there in power, you expect people to come down from down and give you report. If you really don't go down yourself to hear what is going down, it's going to be a problem. It's just what they want you to hear that they keep telling you. So you really need to work more hard, especially the aspect of insecurity. I don't know how true this is, but there was a time I heard that one of the presidents mentioned that if corruption or insecurity lingers for more than 24 hours, it means some people in the government are interested.
Thank you very much.
So I really want to buy that idea. So I wish that the president would step more and do things without fear and favor. Really seriously. You should confront it without fear and favor. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much, Silas.
For those invaluable contributions. Two notable takeaways. One of them is that you can't fight corruption in isolation. He wants a complete fumigation of the country, however that works. But more importantly, he talks about feedback. And not relying on the orthodox channels for this feedback, because they've got a way of distorting the information that get to the president. So he talks about some intelligent or innovative ways that allow the president to extract feedback from the grassroots.
But this is where experience plays in, isn't it? Former governor, someone who has been within the system for quite some time, especially under the current dispensation.
I mean, the structures are
you should have the necessary, skill set to be able to deal with it.
I think the president can also trust the media a bit more. Because what you see on the pages are not necessarily designed or calculated at embarrassing the government, just the way former president will refer to reports. That they are basically giving you feedback. Chibuzo from Niger State, good morning, and let's have your thoughts this morning.
Hello, Chibuzo. I think we've lost our connection to Chibuzo. But try calling back again. The number is on your TV screen. We're talking about the fight against corruption under the current leadership in the country. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is dealing with this proverbial bull that we've been unable to face or rather tackle by the horns because it's still dealing as a heavy blow as far as underdevelopment, underperformance, and all of these, because you can tie and link everything that is wrong with this country to corruption. Insecurity, corruption. Unemployment, corruption. Poverty, corruption. Everything. So, it has its tentacles all over the place. And I remember the past administration when President Buhari said, if we don't kill it, it will kill us. And I think that the jury is out about who is winning.
The president before President Jonathan at one point would say, it appears like the name corruption sort of sophisticates the whole idea around it. I call it stealing. That is what.
Oh, I remember that. Was that the CNN interview?
Yeah. Where he was.
It was rather embarrassing because
between stealing and corruption. And how corruption sort of edifies what is basic stealing and should be treated.
They say difference. Difference without distinction. Because they're one and the same thing. Corrupt people steal. And stealing is a form of corruption, if you ask most people.
That would, of course, explain why the former British Prime Minister would describe us as a fantastically corrupt nation. Painful as that was.
I don't think we're being fantastic about it, actually. Fantastically corrupt is
of that description. We do it so well. It has become an industry in this country of some sort, to the level where it becomes practically impossible for you to function, even if you mean well. Because of the way this industry, as it were, has taken deep roots. We've heard stories of how heads of agencies, ministries, departments, and agencies of government, for instance, are unable to implement anything or even get their budget passed until they play balls with the appropriate committees that would approve the appropriation for the. We have another caller. Your name and where you're calling from. Good morning.
My name is Mubarak. I'm calling you from Jos Plateau State to be precise.
Thank you very much, Mubarak. May we hear your thoughts this morning?
I really appreciate the other caller that made a contribution, made a reference of, infested mosquitoes in a particular room. The reality is that we hesitate to face the reality. We continue to lie to ourselves. We know the problem. You cannot just go, continue to lie to yourself. Nigerian is a country that we have different diversity of people. And we elevate people just because of religious sentiment. It is not my own. I am not going to vote him. We know the problem of the country, but we continue to lie to ourselves. I pity the unborn generation and the ones yet on. Every blessed day, if I wake up, I pity the unborn generation. If our situation is worsening day by day, second by second, minute by minute, what of the ones yet unborn and the upcoming generation? Are we really ready as a nation? Are we really serious? Life is all about purpose. No Almighty see us through. To be honest with you, I am disturbed. That is why sometimes I used to say that we should all be on our knees and seek apology and forgiveness to the past administrators. I am referring to Goodluck Ebele Jonathan. Didn't we insult him? Didn't we call him all sorts of names? I so much respect Goodluck Ebele Jonathan. Now we elevated Mr. Integrity. Now look at how the country is. One mudu of bill during the era of Goodluck Ebele Jonathan is worth 100 naira. But multiplier now, look at the inflation galloping, skyrocketing, and we continue to lie to ourselves. Please let us do the needful, please.
Okay.
Let's give this a chance, please. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mubarak, for joining the conversation. You can't help but notice that element of emotion seeping into the conversation every time we're talking about Nigerian-related matters, because, I mean, people really feel, a connection, an emotional connection to how bad things are right now, because we know for a fact that this country has the natural and human resources, the potential is there, everything is there. It's like there's this perfect recipe. Unfortunately, it has been quite disastrous for the most part. And, to his point exactly about, in denial, you get a sense that, the fight against corruption itself is somewhat skewed. It depends on whether you're in the good graces or not of the people in power. Over time, we've also had so many, instances where the EFCC is seen as, the hunting dog of the people in power. Even though we've had, several cases of people in power, really setting that, bulldog against people that, are under their sort of political patronage. But, I think the anti-corruption fight itself is leaving much to be desired. The whistleblower policy under the Buhari administration was supposed to be a game changer. We've seen some impact, but to a large extent, the gaps is just too many, and Nigerians are less than satisfied with what they've seen so far as the fight against corruption is concerned.
One salient point that was made by Mubarak and does require amplifying is the place of nepotism in the fight against corruption in Nigeria.
Selectivism.
Selectivism, if you like. It's from my place and therefore can do no wrong. I understand we have another caller.
Hello?
Good morning. Your name and where you're calling
Good
from.
morning.
Thank you.
From in Imo State.
Can you come again with your name?
My name Edwin Onwebu.
Okay. Good morning, Edwin from Imo State. Can we kindly have you
Good morning.
have your thoughts? Thank you. Please go ahead. The floor is yours.
Okay. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you.
I appreciate what your program also. But I just want to add one issue. In my place now, they never came and was distributing increase in the NEPA bill from 3,000 in the community to 5,000. These are some of the things that cause trouble. You didn't discuss it with the people in the community, in the village. You just arbitrarily hike the. They're waiting for them to come. When they saw the reaction, the pressure, they said, okay, let's pay the last one. Subsequently, it will go. Did you discuss it with the people? Did it? I mean, these are some of the things that cause wahala. They are behaving this way because it's innocent. If it were in Delta or you can't do that. They will handle them. Handle them. I appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Edwin. As much as it's not directly linked to what we're talking about, we can relate, and this is a platform for Nigerians to really voice their concerns. And Imo, for some reason, has been quite notorious with this poor power supply. I think we've done series of reporting there where Ajibade has, spoken to residents, business operators, and just that same point he made about waiting for them to come?
That's right.
We've had people talk and say, listen, I've been running my business on generator. I'm waiting for them to bring their bill. And, they're going to see me, give it to them. And unfortunately, this is also tied to corruption, by the way.
Basically, it is coming to demand taxes for services you never
they have not been provided
in the first place. People have to situate these conversations within the context of their own daily experience. We have another caller. I understand your name and where you're calling from.
Okay. I think we've lost our connection, and we've just about run out of time for the interactive session on Daybreak. Thank you most kindly for joining the conversation. As always, we encourage you to be a part of the interaction. We want to give you a voice. We want you to share your voice, of course, regarding all the various talking points that we'll be highlighting on this particular segment of the program. We're going to take a quick break now. When we come back, we're going to set the ball in motion for today's conversation regarding the housing industry here in Nigeria. More on that after the break. All right, welcome back to the program. You're still watching Daybreak on Trust TV. Here's just a quick reminder. You can watch the show on the go by joining our YouTube and Facebook live streams, as well as following us across our social media platforms to catch up with more of this and many other programs on the go. You can find us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and all the other social media handles. Also check out our website, trusttv.com. Well, let's double down on that content that you just saw right now and talk about smart homes. As Damama is Smart Homes Limited is one of the fastest growing housing development and real estate companies in the country. It is one place to find, of course, your smart homes, your dream homes, of course, an opportunity to own a property in the country, especially in the nation's capital, Abuja. The company is striving to, on a daily and regular basis, to build smart homes with convenience, comfort, and security, alongside many other innovative ways that has been developed in the real estate market. So join us to know more about what they have to offer, about their plans, as well as some of their projects. Is the Chief Executive Officer of Damama Smart Housing Limited. Salim Goje is joining us this morning. Good morning to you, Salim, and thank you so much for joining us on the program.
Good morning.
Right, it does appear that for the past couple of weeks or months, the housing industry has taken a hit with regards to cost of production. Cement is on the rise, everything, building materials are on the rise. So before we get down to the details, give me your perspective as an industry player, what impact this current economic situation is having on your projects and everything else that you're doing.
Okay, for me, I just maybe the cement now is very, very expensive. So, and there are projects that we are already doing, maybe at Lukbe Airport Road, that we collected money from people that were going to deliver a terrace duplex for them at 65 million naira. So that was before the inflation and the cost of production. So now we're looking at how to write letters to them, invite them to come and sit down, let's have a conversation on how to review the prices. Because right now, even at 70 or even at 75 million naira, we cannot deliver those houses to them. So we're looking at modalities, how we can just, they should understand as well, because they are in the country. Of course, they know the situation of the country. Let us look at how to just get a solution at least to deliver it.
As a developer, how bad is the situation? I mean, some people who are trying to do it on their own can say, listen, I'll just come back to the building next year. You cannot afford to do that because, like you just stated right now, there are people who have already invested their monies and you have to deliver. How bad is the situation with the building material costs?
It's really, really bad, because when you look at the situation maybe in Abuja, some of the developers have even stopped construction. So maybe they'll resume after reviewing prices, after maybe maybe they are hoping that it will reduce, the prices will reduce. But as for me, we are just a young company, so I cannot just say, okay, let me quit and wait. It will give me like bad reputation to the company. So I'm just finding a way, solution, talking to them. Maybe even if it takes me to invest my money in it just to deliver it to my people, then moving forward now, I'll look at how to review prices of our new projects that we are going to do in the future, so that maybe I can recoup my money that I'm going to invest in this one just to deliver to our
I guess Mr.
clients.
Sunday should buy now then, or should have bought it yesterday or something.
You know, Nigeria is that perfect example of whatever you want to do, just go ahead and do it. There's no waiting for a better tomorrow. What we experience here, however,
usually the better tomorrow is yesterday.
Yes,
unfortunately, yeah.
But you know, every time this conversation come up, the arguments usually are because most of the building materials are tied to the forex, because you've got to import maybe roofing sheets that are largely dollar denominated, the iron steel, which makes about 40% of your construction, also imported, and of course the component of cement. For people who play in this industry, is it not time that you start rethinking the whole materials that go into construction in Nigeria? Are there no materials that we have locally that can substitute for some of these components that make it very expensive to deliver those houses? I'm sure you are looking at backtops from Dubai. You're looking at ceramic floors from who knows, Taiwan or Turkey. You're looking at lightings and finishing from. Can't we find substitutes in Nigeria that can then help us manage these cost components and bring construction down a bit?
Yeah, and it should be at our advantage. I pray we should find solution to that. We should start doing it here in the country. But Nigeria, you know, down to toothpick, we like importations. I don't know why. So if it is something, maybe who should I even say, engineers, or they should look at finding solutions for us. We don't have local to import all these things. You understand?
Is it that the solutions do not exist in country at all? Because I know there are one or two companies here and there who play within that spectrum. Perhaps maybe some kind of patronage would then begin to help them scale and improve their output to match some of those above.
Surely yes, but I think they are not getting the support. Like you said, the people that are doing it here in the country, they are not getting the support from we developers or from people that are buying. Because if we should support them, that means it is even to our advantage. But like I said, in Nigeria now, we have, maybe let me just move aside the real estate sector. We have maybe companies like Jack that are producing cars. You see that Nigerians don't like patronizing them. We rather go and import Land Cruiser, Prado, Toyota from Germany, from other countries. You understand? So it's just like a Nigerian thing that we don't like using things from our country, and it is really, really not helping us at all. At this point, if we can all agree and start patronizing ourselves, let us just be using materials within the country and all. It's going to be to our advantage.
Right. And people would then have no reason to complain about the prices of some of these homes.
Yeah.
Let's talk about smart homes. For the most part, you know, it's a word that has been bandied around, and I feel like it's sounding like a cliche right now. As a developer, what is a smart home?
Okay, a smart home, as the name implies, is just maybe everything smart, unique, luxury, simplifying every aspect of maybe your home. You understand? For example, let it just be, maybe you want to enter your toilet. When you open the door, the lights will turn on. When you go out, it will turn off. Okay. Or when you want to enter your house, for example, when you are not around, maybe you are even out of the country or you are in your office, when someone comes to your house, you should have access to see him from your phone. You can just look at your phone and say, this one is at my doorstep. Should I grant him access? Okay, yes. Then you'll just you'll just slide your phone, then the door will open for him. Or if it is someone that is not welcomed, you don't have to slide your phone. That means the smart homes, it talks about security, it talks about comfort, it brings about what should I even say?
Integrating everything.
Yes,
together.
yes,
Right,
yes.
right.
So it's just making everything easy and simple in a unique way.
All right. Just listening to you, and something in my head is saying, smart, good, but where is the electricity? Where is the broadband penetration that would then help you enjoy some of these resources seamlessly? So, give us an idea. As you think these smart homes, are you then going to provide the support infrastructure that truly, that would make you enjoy the whole idea? Because we buy cars in Nigeria that are supposed to drive, and they are supposed to be seamlessly connected with GPS, and all that. But somehow when you try it, they will tell you where you are operating, the services are not available. So what do you do to truly make the experience smart, for people who pay that much for those luxury?
That's why maybe the Mama Smart Homes is different, because we are looking at all our estates. We are not looking at doing estates like FAB that you will have maybe 300 houses in it. At least, even if you want to do accommodate such many clients, many people, we are going to do it in such a way that, okay, this estate is phase 1. We are going to just put 30 houses, then the other phase 2, 30 houses, so that we are trying to go off grid.
Off grid completely?
No.
Okay.
Off grid with electricity, with NEPA.
Right.
So we are going to do it in such a way that it will even be automatic. When there is no light, if you say there won't be light for like 7 days, this our off-grid something that we are going to bring, that we are importing to the country to use in our estates, is going to sustain the supply. Because, like I said, this solar something that we are going to bring is just of something like, if it is minimizing the energy when you are not around, all the lights will turn off by itself.
Okay.
Energy saving,
Yes. But now it's something of the normal one that we are using now in Nigeria is lights will be on, except if you go and put them off, fridge, gas cooker. Of course, it will be consuming the energy. But down to your light inside your toilet, if you are not inside the toilet, everything goes off. You understand?
So it uses a sensor sort of.
Yes. So there are things that when you go to Saudi Arabia, you see they are already making use of all these things. So we are looking at bringing it to Nigeria. That comfort that you find, that tourism that you want to go and do in Dubai and everything, we can bring it to Nigeria so that you don't have to go out.
And give me a sense of the market, for instance, because especially here in Abuja, I get the feeling that there's so many estate developers, and you just talked about yours as a young startup in this particular industry. With all this saturation, what is the market like? And are people really buying homes?
Yes, people are really buying homes, because in Abuja, there is housing deficit, and we at Mama Smart Homes, we are doing we are going with the flow. We are looking at so they said there is no middle class again in Nigeria. So we are looking at doing it for the rich and for the, I don't want to use the word poor.
Your house are definitely not for the poor. I think we can all agree on that. They're for people who can afford them.
Yes, for people
more
who
often than not, they're not poor people.
So that is why we have it in different locations, but and very, very affordable, because there are houses sometimes we say, okay, we can deliver this to you at 45 million naira because of the location. Maybe it is at Idu. It's okay. Even at that Idu, we try to bring that smart something into it. With just shinkering money, with just small money, we'll look at how to.
I would love to live in a world where I can call 45 million affordable. Exactly. I would love to live in that world. But take us through the various projects, your locations, and the various fees that you're charging for the plot, and how your plan varies from other plans that are out there, why people should consider working with you instead of going elsewhere.
Okay, like now, our Rome apartments in Katampe extension, we're selling 250 square meter for 16 million. And I bet you at that site, maybe our neighbors are selling, they are not selling anything closer to the amount that we are selling. It starts from 25 million. I'm doing it 16 million because maybe I don't want to be greedy, and if I can get at least small thing, then it's more of I want to see the turnover of the business. Not like in these room apartments, I want to get everything. We are in phase 2 now. We can do phase 3, phase 4. You understand? The money, the profit will come later. But now we are just trying to integrate ourselves. To invite people, let them know about us, let them know that we are the best at this real estate something. So we are not looking at maybe making profits now. We are just looking at, okay, how can we recoup all these people that are going to Brands and Hammers, that are going to Bilal, that are going to Cosgrove? How can they now join this? Because if Cosgrove now decides to sell a plot of land at 80 million, nobody will question him because he has already, the name is all over. They will look at, okay, it's Cosgrove. So everything about Cosgrove is quality.
All right. So, well, you said there are no middle class, but do you have those other developments, that have the likes of me and Abdul as part of your focus and target?
Yes,
I don't think me and you are in the same class, but go on.
I'm just thinking that when you think of the rich, is there something that is also smart?
Yes, yes.
And really, really
affordable. Yes, we have at the Boulevard Estate in Idu.
Okay.
And talking about Idu, we know that because of this rail project that Wiki has been talking about and all, you know that Idu is going to be a very, very prime location in the future. Not the future is not in 6 years, so I'm talking about maybe 6 months, 1 year, something because of the rail. And that Idu, people don't know that from Idu railway station, it's even faster to go to the Nnamdi Azikiwe airport than to follow airport road, Lugbe, because there is a road now that the construction is ongoing. And it's like 6 lane down. It will even move to that Kuje bridge, so you can just slide by right and go to the airport, or follow to go to Kuje. So there are prime locations that investors are supposed to invest now.
And
we are selling like 4 million naira for per plot, 3.5, 6 million, 7 million per plot.
So let's take it in phases then, to understand how it works. Do you sell just the plots, or do you also sell finished homes? Give me a sense of the different classifications that you have available.
We do everything. For example, if you just want to buy a plot, because some people are buying to invest, to sell in the future, to resell in the future. So some are buying to stay, to build. Some will even build and sell. Some will build and live in and stay in. So it depends on the clients that we have. When, for example, now at Lugbe, we are, because the place is habitable already. There are houses all around the location. So we are building, we are selling it as finished houses. You understand? So at Idu now, we are selling it because it is not that kind habitable for now. Maybe you are looking at in 2 years. Okay, we are selling it per plot. So when it is habitable now, you that bought it at 4 million, you can decide to sell it for 10 million, for example, because it is Abuja and land is appreciating rapidly, day by day. You understand?
And in talking about payment plans, for instance, let's talk about that, because there are those who can afford to pay off one time, and then there are those who would say, listen, I can afford it, but not at a go. So what is your payment plan like?
We are very, very flexible. We are very, very flexible. I can remember.
Flexible, like I can pay in 10 years?
No.
That's flexible as far as I'm concerned anyway. What's the flexibility like?
We're looking at maybe some 9 months, 6 months, because Edu is just 4 million naira. We're looking at, okay, in 6 months you should
4 million
be able
naira
to,
for what plot size?
300 square meter for a semi-detached.
Duplex?
Yeah, duplex. So at least we look at maybe you pay in 6 months. When it comes to Katampe, you pay in 9 months. When it comes to Asokoro, maybe we can go, okay, we can say, okay, we can do 1 year, 12 months. So even at that, most of the clients that I used to have, even if I give them this payment plan, they used to pay before the situated time of this thing that we are giving them. So I want to believe that my own are cheaper. So if you see the land, if you see the location of my lands, and you see and you compare with the price, you know that I am really doing a lot of favor for you, investment wise, if you want to build and stay and all. So
and there are some of these developers who have these payment plans tied to, say, the Federal Mortgage Bank. There are those who are working with the Federal Mortgage Bank, the Housing Fund, to give Nigerian workers who cannot afford to pay these exorbitant amount to cover their costs, and then they get to pay. Do you?
Yes, we do that. We do that. We do that. Even as of last week, we had a client of same scenario, and we handled everything. So
what's the feedback like? For some of the people who are taking off, and I'm saying this because sometimes you get these promos that look very attractive, that offer you all kinds of things, but by the time you commit, once you start seeing hidden conditions, they say, okay, sorry, we did not tell you this when you were onboarding, but these terms and conditions also.
There are extra hidden charges.
Hidden charges, hidden costs. And so when you get in, it becomes tiring for you to finish.
It's right, you are right.
What's the situation with them now?
You are right, because normally there is legal fee of 5%. That's why I usually tell my marketers, my agents, my staff, when you want to market to someone, tell him that
everything.
Tell him everything. Okay, we have infrastructural fee, but that one we are not collecting it now because prices of things in Nigeria are not stable. So when it comes to the time that you are moving to site, we'll not tell you, okay, infrastructural fee is 1.5 million. Just tell them, let them be rest assured that it won't be high. We will try as much as we can to keep it low. But you should tell them so that they should expect in the future that they are going to still make another payment, development fee. Of course, they will need us to do borehole for them. Of course, they will need us to hire security for them, infrastructure. Maybe we'll do roads inside the estate. We'll connect recreation center, recreation something for their children, channel drainage, sewage, all these things. All these things. So it is good that you tell them so that they should expect, they should save. But even me now, buying something and then I don't know about, maybe I feel like I've completed everything, then at the end you come and tell me to pay, even if it is 500 naira, I'll feel somehow.
Right. And as we wrap up this particular conversation, give me a sense of where you think this market is heading towards. We all know about the housing deficit, not just in Abuja, but across the country. But Abuja, unlike any other state, is the go-to places for businesses, for people who want to establish themselves, and so on and so forth. Where do you see this expansion going, especially as we're witnessing the development and the spread of residential areas into, say, for instance, Idu, for instance, where normally you don't have a lot of people living there, but from the look of things, the expansion is really going into the hinterlands.
So Idu, Kiami, Apo, Wasa, Karshi, Kurudu, like Abuja, we still have enough space to accommodate for people, just that maybe the government needs to do better in providing housing. We have Karsana, very close to Gwarimpa. If you can, even Karsana is in between Gwarimpa and Kubwa. So somehow, it shouldn't just be left like this. You understand? So we have Apoasa, we have Idu, like you say, we have Kiami, we have all these places. So we are heading to, I think we developers should do better than, what's the name? Government again, because we'll be pushing for allocations. We'll be pushing to, okay, even if government are not, this land are just there. Can you
what
please
about the
allocate
infrastructure?
it to us?
Because, the road access needs to be there, obviously. Before the development
Wike is doing a really good job. But sometimes we developers, we don't really depend on government like that, because we are private sectors. We know how to recoup our money back. We'll look at, okay, if we are like 6 developers that want to enter into Wasa, and develop, we'll now say, okay, let's just do this road. We'll just wait for the government to give us approval, maybe to give us the survey plan. This is how to go about this. This is how to go about that. This one is a commercial area. This one is residential. These are the things that we need.
Right.
Then we put our money in. Then we look at how to maybe recoup it from selling.
Yeah, okay. Salim, interesting conversation. Wish you all the best going forward. Perhaps when this business gets as big as the other businesses, you don't forget that we once hosted you, and perhaps maybe Sunday will afford that 65 million naira home to add to his many other homes, actually.
Yeah.
that he has already. Salim, thank you so much for joining us this morning. I appreciate you for your business and for joining us on the program. All right, we're going to take a quick break. DAYBREAK returns in just a moment with a look at the front pages of some select national dailies. Newspaper review is up next.
All right, welcome back. If you're just joining us, it's DAYBREAK on Trust Television. We would now bring you all of the stories that made the front pages of select national newspapers in Nigeria this morning. We'll begin, as usual, with the Daily Trust, and the Daily Trust is leading with a different kind of story this morning. Kano, Katsina, Sokoto, 4 others spent 28.3 billion on Ramadan feeding.
Really?
That's huge.
Yeah, but really, did they?
Well, that's what they told us.
Listen, I understand the importance of Ramadan in the grand scheme of things in the life of Muslims, and these states are predominantly Muslim, populated. However, in the grand scheme of things, you feed someone today, you still have to feed him tomorrow, and the day after that, and the day after that. So what happens after Ramadan? Are people not going to be hungry after Ramadan? So I think this is not sustainable.
Well, that's a big argument in that space. Not just the fact,
28
conversation around sustainability.
28 billion.
What else we could do with this money if we weren't expending them on mere feeding? And then the irony is, you go out and try to get a sense of how much people are being fed, and you can't reconcile the number with some of this humongous amount.
Yeah, it's
Clerics call for accountability, and then you find the graphs there trying to break them down to what each state is putting down, and alternatively what this amount can do, from some of the states that have made them open. To other stories, children executed by Israeli forces in raid on Gaza hospital.
What is happening in Gaza is just indicting all of us as members of this human race.
That's right.
Because the inability of the global powers and everybody else that is burying their head in the sand, regardless of who is killed, is just an indictment as far as I'm concerned. And
it's just a better way, to put out this conversation.
Yeah.
Adora emerges Zenith Bank's first female group managing director. That's a big one for the women folk. It's a big one for Nigeria. Not just because we have not had women in that capacity in other banks, but this is the most profitable and the most capitalized bank in Nigeria. So it's a big deal.
It's a big deal.
Yeah.
But also, I think in the banking sector, for instance, you would know this more than myself. The women are really good leaders. They're pulling their weight. They're delivering. I know that one of the banks that I have an account with, there's a female head, and her track record has been awesome so far. And I think the ones that have stood out, they really do stand out. We hope for more opportunities like this.
Nigeria, we have produced quite a number of women, top range women everywhere across the world, from the Okonjos to Amina in the UN, and you want to think that we can replicate this quality across board, really, if we are willing to give them a chance. This is me being a feminist.
Or a he for she.
And INEC laments rising costs, disruptions from acrimonious primaries and weavers for defectors. This is a big one, you know, and the NH chairman went on and on and on and on, and how this distorts just about everything within that.
I think the political parties are a major the major problem with our political system.
That's true.
Because they don't hold credible primaries, they are not accountable, they are not transparent, and they undermine democracy with everything that's happening. I mean, look at the Edo primaries, for instance, before it happened. Even in the build-up to it, the fight between the governor and the deputy governor, the factional primaries, you know, they set the stage for this messy elections, and then the litigations that come after, and it just leaves Nigerians disenchanted with the entire process.
That's right. Finally, Akpabio under fire for linking soldiers' killings to mercenaries.
Yeah.
We have said it before. I mean, if it was repeating, his comment was in absolute bad taste, I'm sorry to say. That's it on the front page of the Daily Trust.
The Punch is up next, so let's take a look at the front page of the Punch newspaper. 30 billion naira, or is it trillion naira loans rather. Senate uncovers fresh infractions, summons Cardoso, that's the CBN governor. Still the Ways and Means, saga. Reps to quiz minister over 300 million naira malaria loan spending. Indictment going through the civil service. The House of Representatives have invited the minister. He didn't show up. They've invited the permanent secretary. He has not appeared yet, and just signpost the conversation we just had this morning about fighting corruption in the system. Shareholders excited as Zenith Bank appoints Umeoji first female group managing director. In other news, federal government, states, local government share 10 trillion naira allocation in 2023, according to NATI. And reign of terror, 165 farmers killed in March. Farms deserted as bandits demand 3 billion naira. 130 farmers killed in 4 Benue local government areas, 28 in Sokoto. Sorghum production falls by 90% in Borno.
I think
Benue,
it's easy to see why the food inflation
it's happening. The shortages are just obvious.
And the situations that are perpetuating these shortages
are there, are growing, in fact. Benue farmers lose 1.1 billion naira to attacks. Sokoto growers pay 3 billion naira ransoms, and 5 million naira paid in Delta. So we're talking about scaling up production, but we've not addressed the underlying factors that leads to low production or production losses, and that is the insecurity. The bandits are levying farmers, and farmers are losing their interest right now in at least if they survive this season with the bandits, they say, listen, I'm not doing this again next year.
It's just not profitable.
I can't. It's not profitable.
What does it profit a man to put in that labor, pay for the opportunity to go to the farm and lose the proceeds to paying ransom for family members kidnapped? It's a waste. It's just a waste. It's a complete unproductive venture, if you like.
All right, let's take a look again at the front page of the Punch newspaper for today. Federal government names 15 terrorism financiers. BDC's plans sanctions. Okay, what is that about? On page 42, you get to all the details. Dangote, MTN, others lose 1.7 trillion naira to naira depreciation, according to reports. In other news, abducted editor asthmatic family laments NUG demands release. That is yet another unfortunate kidnapping story. Parties infighting, parallel primaries, wasting INEC resources, according to the INEC national chair.
I mean, that kidnapping on the front page was purportedly done by government agencies, and that's why this is.
Oh, really?
Yes, it was taken from his home by men on uniform.
Right, and you know what? We have every reason to believe that these are government personnel. Absolutely. Because so many times we've seen people in power use the police, the military, or the DSS or other operatives to intimidate journalists who are trying to just do their job, tell a story about what is actually happening.
We would continue to say these things. and say it again. The journalism.
I don't know when the government is going to get it, or people in power. Not everyone in power is like this, but you need to build your tolerance level up. There is no amount of intimidation that is going to stop journalism from existence. It's never going to happen. It's never going to happen. No matter how many people are attacked, no matter how many are arrested, there will be more others that are coming up to do exactly just that, or even more. I suggest this impunity needs to stop, and the government needs to be very clear about this abuse of power by some of these agencies.
All right, we'll move on to the Nation newspaper now, and the major stories there. Soldiers killing, no one left in the community, says governor. Reps, villagers fled into the bush. Oboriwori briefs Tinubu, State House probe attack. And two other stories. Olakulein's family for Ibadan throne 160 years after.
Is it the Olubadan throne?
Yes.
Too?
They became vacant on account of the death of the last occupant. Overdraft to the federal government, Senate grills CBN chiefs. And Umaoji appointed Zenith Bank GMD. Edo Assembly asked CJ to raise panel on Shaibu. They are pushing on with the impeachment saga, I suppose. 42,000 metric tons of grains being shared to state, says Agric Minister. And the interest rate takes center stage as the Central Bank of Nigeria prepares to meet again on Monday for its monetary
Is that not going to be a record?
To meet within 4 weeks?
Yeah.
Yes. And those questions came up the last time. I'm not sure what it was, but we saw decisions in the manner we had not seen for a long time. The jacking up of that interest rate by 450 basis points was really huge, and there were fears that that could also trigger some negative developments in the economy, and that could stifle growth to the level where the interest rate could become disincentive to the economy. So what they probably have chosen to do is, rather than do this for a long time, is raise it and give ourselves a very short time to return to the boardrooms and see whether we are at the verge of...
But do we have enough data that would, in the space of 4 weeks, do we have enough to tell us whether we're on the right track?
One will want to think that at the level of the central bank, some of these data will be available, depending on whatever they are tracking, whether it is the inventory at the manufacturing end, or whether it is... I'm not sure. There are quite a number of things that they've got capacity to do. But the argument on the other side also is the fact that every time a decision is made, there's always a lag period for these decisions to
germinate.
And so it's 4 weeks, enough time to adequately say this has made impact or not. We are not sure what this would be, but we should give them the benefit. They've got over 200 PhDs in their research department. I want to think a fraction of those, at the very worst, should know what they are doing.
Listen, with with the current inflationary figures, I think there's just so much room for improvement with regards to the research as well as the policy direction of not just the CBN but the government as a whole. Let's take a look at the front page of the Guardian newspaper for today, shall we? The front page of the Guardian has these stories: unlicensed digital lenders, loan sharks target poor citizens, exploit, violate privacy rights. And that's very true. That's very true. Nigerians are in a dire situation right now, and they would do anything to put their hands on some monies that they think they can repay. And what happens if you don't? You get this intimidation, this harassment that, pushes so many people into depression. Some have committed suicide, as a result of this. And you have the infographics there. And I thought, they were being reined in by the CBN or the NCC because they're saying some of those practices are just illegal, downright illegal.
For persons who are neither paying tax to any government authority or are properly registered as business interests in Nigeria, what they are doing is definitely...
they get on the Play Store on the iOS.
Register
People
an
download
app,
and then they just bypass every other regulation, and they operate with some kind of impunity.
That's right.
One might add. In other news, NASU, SANU, that's the Non-Academic Staff Union, as well as the Senior Staff Association of Nigerian Universities, strike leaves certificates applicants stranded. Oh, the good side is that it's a 1-week warning strike. Let's hope it doesn't go beyond that.
Yeah.
Banks show signs of illiquidity. I didn't even know that was a word. Illiquidity. Borrow over 24 trillion naira from CBN less than 3 months. And I think there was a news report that I saw just a couple of days ago talking about only 7 or so banks are capable of the current recapitalization drive, and the others are not so healthy.
Here or there. I think the problem is largely around the fact that the central bank has not exactly set what that threshold would be. So basically what we are saying is some kind of simulation. So it's a what-if analysis. What if it is pegged at 1 trillion naira? How many of the current banks, would be in the position to continue to operate, given the current license at 1 trillion naira? What if it's brought down to about 500 billion? What would be the scenario analysis?
Yeah.
So it's largely some kind of.
Is this just something academic?
As it is right now, it is largely academic. Some of them are close to being true because, I mean, the currency has devalued multiple fold. When it was pegged at 25 billion, we were talking about an exchange rate of around 145 naira to $1. That has devaluated 10-fold.
Yeah.
It's about 1,500. So if you multiply 25 billion in 10 folds, you can begin to imagine where that will be situated. And I doubt we will do anything and peg it, and we will do anything to just bring it to where the realities are. They would want to also set futuristic targets. So they probably will be doing 15 or 20 folds, just to say, in the events that we have another rounds of devaluation, this should take care of it, and we should have a sound, sustainable financial. They are sound and sustainable as they are, but they are not. Whatever it is, the parameters were no longer fit for purpose.
We talk about corporations being either too big to fail / too big to succeed, or too small to succeed. And you don't want to have banks that are standing on really shaky grounds, because we've been here before, haven't we? And we didn't like the result.
If you want to talk about growing this economy to 1 trillion naira, you want to find banks that can fund the kind of manufacturing firms that would thrive in 1 trillion naira economy. Right now, do we have a bank that, for instance, can fund another Dangote refinery single-handedly rather than a syndication? Those are the questions that we'll be making.
I think it's a rhetorical question, but the answer is obviously no. Let's take a quick rundown through the headlines as we wrap things up. Criminalize importation of Adire, Kampala fabrics. Reps urge federal government as a protectionist policy, and one might be forced to say, you know what, let's protect our own. Again, court refuses Kanu bail over terrorism charges. However, it has offered accelerated hearing in that case. Delta governor briefs Tinubu on Okwama killings. Man bags life in jail for, I know this is where it's going to go, defiling an 11-year-old girl, his neighbor's daughter. Quite despicable. Nati says Nigeria's federating units shared 10.14 trillion naira in 2023. Is there, results to show for all that? I mean, some states can point to it, some not so much. Okay, it appears we have time to take one more.
All right, and that will be this Nigeria. The major stories there would be coming from the National Assembly. Produce details of 30 billion weights and means advances. Senate directs the Central Bank of Nigeria. Passes 1.282 trillion FCT 2024 budget. That's some amount for Wike to play around with.
I mean, he's been asking for money, so let's see what happens.
Justifiably so. I mean, the FCT, it's
not looking FCT-ish.
Yes, there's still some gap to close. with some of the things that will take us there. National Assembly to probe murder of 16 soldiers in Delta community, Akpabio. I don't think killers are from the Niger Delta. Killing, assault on security, stability of Niger Delta region. And that's coming from the former Senate President. And to other stories there on the front page, Nnamdi Kanu promises peace in Southeast if out of DSS custody.
Yeah, it was quite comical.
Why
you know.
not we have the peace as precondition for being set free? I'm not sure how to situate this.
Well, yeah, was there peace before he was captured? Was there peace before, he was ever charged?
Yeah.
I think Nnamdi Kanu would take responsibility partly for what is happening in the Southeast right now.
And of course, we have that picture there, the front page of the burial committee of the former governor of Anambra State, Chukwuemeka Ezife. Members of that committee, led, I suppose, by former Senate President Pius Ayim, visits the current Senate President. We have other members like Senator Ekwenife, former Labour Party chairman, and former governor of Anambra State, all making up membership of that committee. I
don't know whether it's the glasses, but you have like 20/20 vision. I can only identify two people from where I'm sitting.
I hope that's a compliment. I want to take it that way. All right. I think that's the much that we can bring this morning on the newspaper review. I'm not sure I can correctly tell you where Mr. Ben Sherman is, but I'm sure he's listening and he will do some explaining.
I thought you were going to give him a pass.
When Dusty shows up. But we can guarantee that he's doing very well. He's been stopped by some logistical problem. I hope today has been some very interesting session for you and that you are taking out very valuable information that will be useful for a productive day ahead and all that today has to offer. Let's do this again tomorrow. I am Sunday Michael Ogu.
My name is Abdullahi Ahmed. 360 Sports is coming up next at the top of the hour. Do join us again next time.